Hi everybody, this is it. We've made it to the end. This is the last screencast for this section, the last one in our marathon section, quadratic equations, functions, zeros, and models. What we're going to do is two examples of quadratic-ish equations. That's totally a Mrs. Dunn word. Quadratic-ish is not a real word. But anyway, that's what we're going to be solving. Let me give you an example. So, what I'm asking you to solve is an equation like this. Y to the fourth plus 4y squared minus 5 equals 0. So that's not a quadratic equation. It looks quadratic, but it's not. It's not a y squared, it's a y to the fourth. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a substitution. We're going to say, let u be equal to y squared. Now, where did I get y squared? That's the middle term here. So we're going to let u equal y squared. And if we let u equal y squared, well then y to the fourth is u squared. Y squared is u, so that's 4u. And we're just going to bring down our negative 5. And this you can factor. So factor that. It factors into u plus 5 and u minus 1. So we know u equals negative 5 and u equals 1. All right, great. But we don't want to know what u is equal to. We want to know what y is equal to. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute y squared back in for u. So if u equals negative 5, then y squared equals negative 5. And if u equals 1, y squared equals 1. And to solve each of these, we're going to find the square root of both sides. So y is equal to, did you remember the plus or minus? Plus or minus the square root of, let me pause the screencast. I was missing my I. So this is y is equal to plus or minus I times the square root of 5, and y equals plus or minus 1. Make sure that you see there's an I here because we were taking the square root of a negative number. All right, now, one more. It's very, very similar to the one that we just did. So the one I want you to look at next is x plus 4 square roots of x minus 5 is equal to 0. You might not realize this, but this is also quadratic-ish. So what we're going to do is we're going to let u equal the square root of x. Remember, what you set u equal to is determined by this middle term. So this middle term is square root of x. Well, not the whole term. We don't put the coefficient in there, but the variable part. And then that equation is exactly like the equation we just did. And when we factor it, we get u plus 5 and u minus 1. This is exactly the same. The only difference is that u isn't equal to x squared or y squared like in the last problem, but u is equal to the square root of x. So we have the square root of x is equal to negative 5, and the square root of x is equal to 1. And well, first of all, the square root of x cannot be equal to negative 5. Remember, the square root can't be negative. So the square root of x could be equal to 1, and in that case, x is equal to 1, and that's the only solution. All right, you made it to the end, and this was a nice, quick, short video. I hope that this homework assignment goes well for you. Email me with all and any of your questions.